of course. I love talking about it too, because I still remember one time going to a bar and like I saw like this girl just sitting alone at a bar and I'd had a couple drinks and I was like, let me go talk to her and see how she's doing. And the first thing she tells me is she's just like, do you believe in ghosts? And we sat and talked for 45 minutes. And I was like, that was the best icebreaker from a stranger I've ever heard of. Because and she was like, exactly, it's what I do every single time. And I'm like, so I do it now too. When I'm trying to get to know somebody, I like instantly, I'm like, ghost stories because I have such a crazy personal story for my own self. So so anyway, so like growing up, I did feel like I was like a little more sensitive to some things, you know. I don't know if it was just, you know, being like a scared kid or like what was going on, but I did feel like a little bit more sensitive. Like I felt like there was definitely times where I felt like connections with spirits, or like I would be afraid that I wasn't alone when I wasn't in a, like in a space that I should have been alone. And I do like remember, yeah, just like a couple of times as like, you know, a kid, early teens, um, like just kind of having like some weird like dreams or anything like that that was connected with that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago. I was actually on a vacation. It was a destination wedding in California that I went and I attended. And we partied it up. We like went to a bunch of different stops in California, made a whole trip out of it. The wedding was at like in Catalina Island, which was gorgeous. Everything was great the whole time. We definitely overindulged in alcohol and stuff like that. And so on our last night of the trip, I'm pretty sure, or the second to last night of the trip, we were all like, we need to detox. Let's all abstain from alcohol for the day. Let's just like have a good dinner and like go to bed. And we were staying at like a pretty nice branded hotel on, I believe it was Huntington Beach. And at that time, just to like save a little bit of money, my ex-husband and I were sharing a room with our other best friends, that a couple, man and wife. And so we went to bed at a good time. We were sober, like we didn't drink at all. And we were sleeping, everything was fine. And I just remember, I don't know what time it was, but at one point I opened my eyes and at the foot of the bed my husband and I were sleeping in, there was an older man. He was wearing sunglasses, had a big white mustache, white hair. He was in like some sort of like little top, you know, like some like t-shirt and then some swimsuit trunks. And then next to him was a younger man, probably about 18, 19 years old, taller, really slender, thin, also wearing sunglasses, wearing a ball cap, and wore a branded t-shirt. I can't remember right now if it was Adidas or Nike, but it was one of the two, and then also swim trunks. I saw them clear as day at the foot of our bed. And I, of course, panicked because I saw them so clearly. I had pulled the sheets over my head and was like just frozen in shock for what felt like probably like 20 minutes, but it was probably, you know, like 10 seconds. And I finally, after like was frozen, I like bumped, you know, my husband at the time. I like bumped him. I was like, Trevor, wake up. And he was like, what? And I was like, there is a ghost at the foot of our bed. And he's just like, Liz, you're no. No, there's not. And I was like, Trevor, there's a ghost at the foot of our bed. He picked and he was like, there's nothing there. But he remembers how like frozen in terror I was. He was like, are you gonna be okay? I was like, I don't know. Like, and we're trying to be quiet, obviously, because we don't want to wake up our friends who are in the bed right next to us. But I was like panicking. Like I was like, I wanted to turn on the lights. I didn't think I could sleep anymore because I'm like, I saw them clear as an actual like set of people in front of me. And so I finally, I don't know how long it took. Like I had to like let my body like get out of this like rigor, and I was able to relax again and I fell back asleep. And as I was sleeping, I was dreaming of them. And as I was dreaming of them, I learned their names. Their names were Kyle was the child, and I cannot remember the other man's name. I learned they were a father and son pair. I learned that they were out deep sea fishing off of the coast of Huntington Beach and were lost. And they wanted somebody to contact their wife slash mother to let her know that they were lost. And I remember waking up the next morning, I was like, what the hell? Like, did I just like have an experience of being like a medium? Was I just making up details in my mind? But I was like, why do I have these details out of nowhere? Like, why would I just develop these details about them and still that next morning have this clear vision of who they were? And so like I just like felt horrible. So I'm like, first of all, like I'm like, because the way they were standing in front of the bed, it almost looked like a photograph. So I'm like running down the hallways of like the hotel, like seeing if there's like a photograph that matched these people to see like maybe I'm just making stuff up because they didn't look like anyone I've ever met in my life. I did not recognize them as actual people. And so then we're at breakfast the next morning and I'm asking, I was just like, hey, has anyone ever reported seeing ghosts in this hotel? And it was a newer hotel. It was like only like a 3 or 5 year old hotel, like a really nice, like kind of resort that we were staying at. And they're just like, no, this is, we don't deal with ghosts. We don't hear ghost stories. Nobody's ever reported anything like that. And I was like, and so like the whole rest of the trip and even coming back to New Mexico, I'm like freaking out. Like I'm kind of just like, they were reaching out to me to like to deliver this message and I have no idea how to connect with this mother. And I remember like coming back, and even though I didn't have a last name, I remember I was like just like constantly googling for like weeks after I got back, trying to google about like somebody is missing, lost at sea outside of Huntington Beach, California around this time. Like I kept searching it because I knew it had to have been recently because of the way they were dressed. They were dressed completely as modern times. They were, and like the fact that I had all of those, those details given to me. And so, sadly, I ended up having to give up the search because I just didn't have enough details. I didn't have a last name. I don't know what was going on. But it still like just like boggles my mind how detailed I could see them. And that's what makes me truly, truly believe I did see ghosts and I truly believe they were trying to communicate.